I think something like
Thanks
that.
everyone for coming. Our first order of business is to elect a moderator. Do I have a nomination?
I nominate John Giannotti.
I nominate Lynn Pender.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do I have a motion to close nominations?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I ask the town clerk to read the call?
Legal notice, Town of Clinton special town meeting. The electors of the Town of Clinton and all other citizens qualified to vote in town meetings of the said Town of Clinton are hereby notified and warned that a special meeting will be held at 6:30 on Wednesday, June 10th, 2015, at the William Stan Andrews Memorial Town Hall, 54 East Main Street, Clinton, Connecticut, to hear and consider the following. Resolved, to appropriate $450,000 from undesignated for the school maintenance building at the Department of Public Works. Dated at Clinton, Connecticut, the 21st day of May, 2015, William W. Fritz Jr., First Selectman, published in the Harbor News on June 4, 2015.
Is there a motion to approve the call as read?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so I'm going to read the resolution. Resolved to appropriate $450,000 from undesignated for the school maintenance building at the Department of Public Works. Is there a motion to approve the resolution? John? Is there a second? Any discussion?
Yeah, I have a question. Have those monies already been spent?
No,
Nothing.
no.
Why weren't they included then in this year's upcoming budget?
Because this is an appropriation from undesignated funds. It's not part of the operating budget.
It's what?
It's not part of the operating budget.
What is it?
It's an appropriation.
I'm asking why, how could you not include $450,000 from the upcoming budget with only 3 weeks left in the budget year?
Sir, it's not, it wasn't included in the operating budget.
Doesn't make for very transparent government, I don't think. Basically, you underestimated the cost to the public by $450,000.
I have a question. What is this building for? Who's here to talk about it?
I'm just moderating, but maybe
I can talk
John
about it.
could talk about it.
I'm talking.
Well, it's been going on for over a year. First of all, when the present Morgan School, that's where the Morgan, or the school maintenance facility is right now. In the new Morgan School, there isn't room for a full, usually it's a 4-person staff and a couple vehicles that they have right now in the present Morgan School. On the new Morgan School, they were going to do a separate building, and it was going to be like, I forgot what our estimate was, but it was like $1.2 million, something like that. So we decided, and they didn't have enough land because we have too much, we have coverage issues as it is in the new school. So after that, we decided, and we have a committee, it was a subcommittee to the municipal building committee. And we've been, I don't know how long we've been in it, but Mike's in it, myself, Pete, Minor, Dennis Donovan, but, you know, the whole municipal building. So we've been looking to find a spot for these guys, but also, when we looked at different spots, we looked at Joel School, if there would be a spot there. We looked DPW. We looked at a couple other pieces of property that the town already owns, so we don't have to go out and buy something. Well, after Board of Selectmen, Municipal Building, Board of Finance, we all decided that the building up at, we're going to build it at DPW. Now, it's not just in what's, you know, I know it's read that way, but at this point, it's beyond just being the maintenance facility for the schools. Because now they're going to share some stuff that DPW could use. That why have two separate things, like a shop and stuff like that? So DPW will be using some of it, and then the school maintenance group will be also using stuff. So it's not just for the maintenance anymore. Now, they're going to be up there if this gets passed, and then DPW, and they'll be sharing something. We're getting a separate steel like a steel building with 5 bays in it. And then the present, where DPW is now, we're going to eliminate 3 bays, put their stuff, some of it for offices for Mike and his crew, and some stuff for Pete, and then there's going to be a shop that both of them would be able to utilize there, and then dry storage upstairs, and that's what it came to. Now, I don't know, 450 is what we're hoping to you know, the town to self, you know, do the work ourselves or sub it out ourselves. So I think it's more than enough. It's probably more than municipal building budgeted for, but it's not to exceed at the 450. It's something we have to get going on, because you can see that the Morgan School's getting going, and they're going to need someplace to go, because as soon as they're ready, they're done with the present Morgan School, these guys got to be working on it somewhere. So, as for this gentleman, with the budget, it's not in the budget. That's why we're here tonight, and that's why it's a public, you know, forum here, that we would take it out of undesignated fund. So that's where we're at.
Why wasn't it in the current budget?
The decision was made elsewhere, it was made by the municipal building committee. The Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance made that decision. I don't know if you're asking us to.
Ms. Pinder, can you answer why that wasn't included in
I'm
the
actually
budget?
moderating, so
Yeah, she
I don't
can.
really want to
I mean,
answer questions.
traditionally, large capital budgets in that manner, and I was chairman of the Board of Finance for years prior to this, and so was you. Because if you put it in the budget, what happens is it invariably raises the budget for that 1 year. So you either have to put it in the capital plan, not on the operational side, and then the budget gets voted down, and then you can't, there's no way to manipulate or to get the money to do the project.
Why
So
couldn't we
traditionally,
put it in the bond?
large, let me finish, budgets over a certain threshold have not gone into the CEC budget on a routine basis at all. If you look at the budget in the CEC budget, large capital items have been outside. Streetscapes, all those things have been outside that process. We
So
just
why-
did a bond to pay for projects that were $200,000. We didn't put them in the capital plan. We're paying
So
for
why
three.
wasn't this included in the bond?
It wasn't ready at the time the bonding committee put all the information together. We didn't have all the information to put it into the bond. You know, it's one of those deals. Then you have to start to estimate. And the bond had already gotten turned down for 4.2 at that point. And to add this to the bond wasn't going to make it any easier for the public to buy. So you run into a problem where you have the people who don't want to see things occur in the budget, which we understand. And there are things that need to go into the budget, or things that need to be done. So the timing on this was all wrong, but it has to move forward. We don't have any choice. But again, in the bonding package you just voted, you voted to replace the HVAC at the police department for $250,000. You voted to supplemental to the bulkhead for a couple hundred. You voted to build a streetscape out here for a couple $100,000. So those items, you could ask the same question. Why weren't they included in the operational budget? They weren't. It was determined that to lump those projects together,
And put on the credit card, I understand that. So why wasn't this put on the credit
it
card?
wasn't ready to be done at that point. It wasn't part of
So
the
to
bonding process.
to come here a month after the budget and cry crisis when we've known this is coming for 2 years,
I can't
It's
defend that.
ridiculous.
I'm just telling you why it wasn't put in there.
if this is a joke to be here tonight,
Well,
that
no.
14
Well, no.
people.
I mean, I can't defend it because I have no
You know
defend
what,
it.
let's not go back and forth.
I can't defend it because the only process I can tell you is that wasn't ready to go into the bonding. At the time the bonding committee met, they decided not to put that in the
Well,
project.
Mr.
And
Neff, we've known this
the
coming for 2
decision was made to
years.
go this route. I'm just telling
I
you what.
understand, but now we're crying crisis and you want to take it out of the rainy day fund. Why didn't we take the police station air conditioning out of the rainy day fund?
Well,
Or, you know,
think-
I mean, it's,
I don't make the decisions. I'm just telling you why it's
I
here.
understand, this is,
Okay.
the reason why we're here tonight is this is ridiculous, that in the middle of the night, 14 people are going to vote on $500,000 when we just had our budget passed. It's ridiculous.
Okay.
It's sad, and I'm very disappointed and I'm disgusted by the Board of Finance, by the Board of Education, and the Board of Selectmen to try to sneak this through in the middle of the night. It's absurd. When there's facts, which I've compiled, that show that there's alternatives to this proposal that are $100,000 cheaper and have been shoved under the carpet because of politics in this town. It's absurd.
If you, not any disrespect, but if you went to or looked on YouTube or whatever and looked at every selectmen's meeting, we've talked about it the last year.
Yep.
So don't say it's been under, it's just that you personally haven't been to these meetings. And I'm not saying you can or whatever, but every week we discuss it. So it's not like it got under the carpet or whatever. I understand not everybody can make these meetings. The Board of Finance discuss it, the Board of Selectmen discuss it. In municipal building, if you look at any of the stuff, it's been discussed within, ridiculous, for over a year.
Sir?
So don't say that we try to put anything under the carpet. I don't care how you vote, I don't care if it goes through.
We've
I'm
known
just
this coming
telling
for
you,
2 years, so you just started working on it for the past year?
through municipal building.
Then the question goes back to, if it's been discussed for a year, why wasn't it built into the budget process? The budget was voted by 1,500 people, and 15 are going to vote this tonight? I don't think that's an appropriate way to run a government in a
The
town.
budget was voted on by 3,000.
Well, 3,000, whatever.
And coming from the chair, I'm the chairman of the Board of Finance, and I can tell you that this discussion, since we voted for the $65 million for the new school, has been on the table. Unfortunately, sir, we do not have a town newspaper. We have a free rag that comes once a week, that if a reporter is interested in writing something, the townspeople get information. But I concur with John. The Board of Finance had this, discussed it. The Board of Education was before us 8-10 months ago talking about this. This is not a middle of the night backroom event. The timing is unfortunate, I agree with you, but it's the way it played out at the end of the day when bids were in and discussions were done and meetings were done.
And it is sad that it's just this group, I agree with you.
I agree.
I wish there was a bigger turnout, you know, but
Well, we had a bigger turnout a month ago.
John, why do you want to put it over to the Todd Road when the schools are 3 miles away? It
Which
ain't no
schools?
room. With all the acres up there, we ain't got room to put a goddamn building.
We sent it back, we
Something's
sent,
wrong. You got a little building in the back
we
house.
sent it back to the, because we were having trouble locating, we sent it back to the school building committee to look at their acreage again and ask if there was a way to put it onto that property. The answer we got was, no way. So it was put back of us. We looked at other potential sites. They weren't going to work for a variety of different reasons. It's not 3 miles, by the way. My guys work out of that, and they travel all over town every single day. So yes, it's a little bit more of a travel, but it's not to the point where you're building it up and killing it. So this came down to the site.
plus then we share some of the facilities.
Plus the
That's
sharing
right.
of the city. But I mean, you're coming to a site where there's already a generator, where there's already internet, where there's already power, where there's already water, there's already septic systems. All that stuff is established. You don't have to reestablish all that.
Plus also, Red, you don't have to make it look like the building. You know, if it's at one of the schools, it's got to be like brick faced or it's got to look nice.
And there was an issue about safety for the kids getting off all these buses and having dump trucks and back-end loaders and front-end loaders and all kinds of equipment
So I mean,
crossing hairs.
is it the most ideal place? No. Mike would agree with that, and Phil would agree with that. Is it a place where it's workable? Yes. Were we able to find an alternate site that was workable? Tough. Very tough. And that's been discussed for a year. Studies done, all kinds of stuff. So it's,
December 3rd,
the ideal place was where it was supposed to be.
December 3rd, 2014, Board of Selectmen votes to put Board of Ed maintenance facility at DPW. This was done with no specific plan, supporting documentation, cost estimate, or logic.
But we had to do all that.
So how does the Board of
We
Selectmen,
got all that information, no.
how does the Board of Selectmen vote on something that they had no, it's a concept,
No, they
and
had,
they approved $450,000 for it? Ridiculous.
That's a big building for that. I mean, that's a lot
No.
of money for a tin building.
no, it's the tin building, it's not the tin building, you gotta renovate the existing building.
Oh, you're gonna redo something, but you
Yeah,
got.
the new building we put on, you gotta renovate that and put their administrative offices, a workshop, the extra space in there.
We haven't got enough offices in town yet.
Well, that up there is
suppose
not.
everybody's
up
gotta
there
have a
there isn't- Well, I'm sorry, up there isn't enough office space as it is, so
Oh, God.
All
I
right.
understand.
And that's a great point, renovation. We just got sold a new high school, and we were told that new was better than renovating because new is cheaper during this age of
In this
low
case,
interest
new
rates.
wasn't gonna be cheap.
I disagree.
Well, that's fine.
All right, so I have a first and a
I'd like to
second
just-
on the vote. We have ballots.
I'd
Oh,
just
I'm
like to-
sorry.
I'd just like to add, I mean, first of all, I think consolidating this building at DPW is the right thing to do. I don't know exactly all the costs. I think the process, you're exactly right. I mean, we just had a referendum, 3,000 people came out, and we have, you know, a dozen, 20 in this room. But we're going to make a wiser decision than 3,000. I mean, the other thing is, we just did this bonding package. Mr. Fritz promised, when he was running for office, that he was going to divide these things up into pieces. He wasn't going to lump them all together where he can move money between projects. He tells you it's, you know, 200,000 for that and 400,000 for this. But in the end, and you know this, John, and you know this, Lynn, he can move that money any place he wants to unless it's split up on the bonding package. So this process, you can do up to $2 million under our charter in this method where 15 or 20 people can get together and spend $2 million. But to do it, you know, 2 weeks after a referendum when people could have had a chance to vote on this properly and express themselves, and it should have been divided into pieces. The HVAC should not have been lumped in with all the other stuff. And I have to say that the process in this town is broken, and it's going to stay broken so long as the Board of Finance and the Board of Selectmen allow it to continue to be broken.
Did nobody on Board of Finance play devil's advocate and ask the tough questions about what are we getting for 450,000?
Not only that, not only did we ask those things, but the Board of Education actually hired professionals to do an evaluation, a study about safety and location and time driving in trucks and all of this stuff. This thing was studied like an ant's reproductions
Yeah,
process.
There was a
It
detailed, there
overstudied.
was a detailed estimate of the whole thing.
give them to the Board of Selectmen
Getting to the Board of Finance and the Board of
with the layout.
the layout and
When
And
was
they
it, and when was
even,
that?
they even thought about buying a used tilt-up building.
When was that brought to the Board of Selectmen?
April,
before,
when the budgets were all done,
when the Board of Finance voted on
Yeah.
it, right before that.
just before that. That's when all the final calculations were done, the layout was agreed upon, the budget estimates were done based on the layout, the square footage, and what was needed. That was after the Board of Education was allowed to give us a list of their needs, and then we put those needs together with the facility, and that's when it all occurred in April. That's when it was all budgeted out.
You have to understand that we couldn't create a design for this building until the Board of Education agreed that it wouldn't be on their property. And that took a year. That took a year of back and forth before they,
I have information that the independent studies found that Joel would be a better site.
No.
perhaps, I don't know. I didn't, personally, I didn't see this.
The problem with Joel was where it was gonna have to go. The exit and entrance, the first selection they gave us at Joel required the entrance to the recreational facility right where the buses discharge on a daily basis, pick up and discharge kids. The second selection required an additional road rebuild, bringing in utilities, septic systems, generator, all the stuff that you don't have, that doesn't exist like you're building it from new. The third selection required that you put another exit or an entrance on, or the trucks had to exit or enter through the front of Joel School. So as much as the committee looked at that and they presented the study, there was a fault with every one of those presentations. And the problem is that you put it in a facility like that when you require maintenance vehicles to either enter or exit through the front of the school, or enter and exit through the park and rec facility behind the school, and that facility is used all the time. So there was a question about the ability to do that with that type of facility. So when you start adding in all the stuff that needs to be done,
Isn't the current garage located in the center of the parking lot in Morgan High School?
no, well, it's located in the school parking lot at Morgan High School, not where K-3's kids are. And not where there's an athletic complex, where kids come in on skateboards and on bikes, and where Little League plays. And kids come play the skate park, kids play basketball. There's a totally different.
They Yeah, it's pick up the kids.
Totally different, where the buses drop the kids off and the buses pick the kids up and the parents drop the kids off and walk them in the back of the building. At Morgan, it's in the parking lot where the buses don't even stop. So it's a totally different situation.
All right, does anyone else have any comments? All right, so I have a first and a second. We do have ballots, so I will take a motion from the floor to vote by ballot, paper ballot. John,
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
is there a second? Second, all in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Carries. Okay, so what we're going to do then is, all right, what are you going to do? You're going to come around and collect them?
Here.
Do I have yours?
I did one, yes. I actually did too.
That's what Sharon just said.
Overachiever.
Pass it around again, see what happens.
Really? Don't you get comfortable with being a big deal in the planning board?
Jack, did you get
I
one?
don't care if it's big or little, it's no matter.
It's just, to me, the budget, everything in the budget is an estimate. You have no firm data in it. So if you move about this, it should have been estimated as part of the budget.
So we have 7 yes and 8 no.
Wonderful.
Okay. All right, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
No, they don't get a vote.
Tom?